Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good evening. Oops. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Sunday, roughly 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, which means it's time for the Brick Something News. And as you'll see from the top, news is an acronym for needless, ephemera, we saw. The we being myself and my awesome co-host for today. This way. Whoop, there it is. Chris Plastic from the Shiny Plastic People channel. What's up, Chris?
I heard it was a party.
Yep, look at that.
So I thought, why not join in? And remember that I have buttons. I love buttons, especially system-wide buttons. So I don't want to rain on your parade. I just want to be here and share in all the fun.
I love it. Shiny, truly shiny, shiny plastic people. You and your fanciness. It's funny. Don't save that. I mean, but use it. Be left to your own devices. You bring it in as you need. But I actually wanted to talk about that at the end when we kind of look through your channel, because that's definitely something that I love. It's super fun. All right, before we get started, let's go ahead and check in with the folks that are here, and then let's talk a little bit about toys. That's something I forget to do sometimes on the news. So let's see who's here. We've got John from Figuratively Speaking. It was really cool to hang out with John. I haven't seen him in a little bit, but we were able to hang out in the clubhouse, in the Oz Clubhouse last night for a good amount of time. That went like 6.5 hours. Special shout out to Oz, who specifically reached out and was like, hey, why aren't you monetized yet? Let's get you your hours. And he had this whole plan that honestly, I kind of didn't fully understand until like a little bit later. I was like, oh, that's what you meant we're going to do. So I really appreciate it. It was really cool. And I think we might have hit the hours, although I'm kind of YouTube dumb. So I think we're trying to figure it out.
Hey, you know what? Any step is a good one, right?
Supposedly? Yes. Either way, we definitely took steps. There's this guy, Shiny Plastic People. We got Thanos in the chat. Hello, hello. We've got Allison Troy, your buddy, who you were just hanging out on a play day with, doing some coloring.
You know, I heard someone else is going to be hanging out with her pretty soon.
Yeah, I think someone who is going to be uplifting the powers of the forces of Prince Dargon. We're gonna do some sectars. You got to do some DC
powers,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, you got Robin and Firestorm. Were those specifically superpowers books?
Yeah, they were. They were specifically.
That's cool.
Well, no, they were specifically super friends.
Except for Firestorm, because technically, when Firestorm came, it was that last.
Right, the Super Friends Superpower show.
That's it. Yes. That's cool. That's cool. And yeah, you made some fun choices there. A couple things that stand out were I hate glass, which I totally get. Sure. And then was that Robin that you all did? And I'm teasing you all because you should go check it out on Allison Troy Retro Toy Princess's channel. But was that thing a motorcycle? Because it kind of almost looked like he was jumping on like a pedal. Like, was that a motorized bike?
It was a motorcycle.
Okay.
I think.
Because his right foot sort of almost looked like it was blocking maybe what could have been pedals or something, but I don't know.
Well, I assume he was kind of pushing it uphill, like, it stalled out. Let me push it, that high-end Wayne dollars.
Even The Super Friends have bad days with their tech. Very cool. Hey, Ray, we've been hanging out. We were earlier hanging out over on Highly Articulated. Neither of us were winners. We were both losers. We got eliminated by a small child, and it was awesome. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Good to see you. Ray Black is here saying hello to Brick in the chat. Quip is here. Yer. And small but mighty crew here. Who else we got? Ed Axion Figs. I can't. Sorry, Ed. I keep doing that weird Cajun thing that Action Figs. Sorry, not Axion.
I like it though, you know.
Oops.
Down here getting us some Action Figs.
Yeah. Weird. Oh, so this is the part of the show where can you hear me? I have to maybe leave and tell my kid to turn off the Bluetooth so my headset doesn't keep Are
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. No, it's doing that, but now I can't hear. 1 second. See, behind the scenes. Can you turn Bluetooth off? Thanks.
Well, while he's away, jeez.
I wasn't that far away. And I still can't. Now I can hear. Yes.
Okay.
Let me just check my settings. Weird. Hello. Yeti Nano. Cool. See? This is what you get for free. Okay. What else? Hey, we've got Ted Darklaw. Awesome to see both Action Figs and Ted here. I know they've got a show coming up. I got business. Let me do business on the stream real quick. Ted, I want to order something from Hella Dope. I tried to order it. It told me you can't ship to my address, and it's probably a PayPal thing or something. It's not letting me give you my address. So I'll keep trying, and if I can't figure it out, I may email with a business question. But I want to buy stuff from you. Can help me give you money. Okay. Moving on. Today's show is brought to you by HellaDopeToys.com. Fine purveyors of all things Cosmic Legions. Headache 79. Will there be more discussion of the punk rock music? Ah, yes, especially when one requests the punk rock music. Almost. I pivoted just because my list of tabs for this episode was getting longer and longer. And besides, Chris and I wanted maybe to talk about a little bit of like ska and ska punk stuff because I know that's something that you're into, but stupid toys got in the way.
You know, it was Halloween this week, though. So, of course, the debate this week online in punk was Misfits. Good punk band or the best punk band?
Okay. Well done. Yes, I suppose that is true. They were definitely, I didn't appreciate them, but yeah, I in hindsight, like probably about 10 years ago, I was like, wait a second, that was actually pretty brilliant. But yeah, I'm weird that way. And yes, I was bitter. Victoria. No, I'm not. I was serious when I said that. Victoria, that's Adam's daughter, who just is turning 8. And she had a nice little sleepover this weekend. She co-hosted today, and they did a bunch of giveaways. And myself, Thanos, a bunch of us, she just started eliminating us. Smart kid. And I was serious when I said she's the best co-host ever. Better bitter than tart. Well done, Headache 79. So to be clear, if you're still here, both Thanos and I apparently have the same issue. And yet we are still brought to you today by the fine... No, I'm just kidding. He's not giving me any money. In fact, I'm trying to give him money. Quip would like to let us all know that ska is life. He'll never turn his back on ska with a fun 2-tone flag planted. And Headache 79 is here to set the record straight. As a kid, literally kid, who got to see some of No Doubt's first shows with Gwen Stefani, there was a time, I swear there was a time. She's kind of gone her own path now, but still, I appreciate her. Yes. Okay. And yes, see, this is the power of community and live stream. We can harass our local toy vendors and they will try to help us figure this out. So we'll get in touch with you, Ted, because again, we want to give you money so you can give us plastic crack. On that note, what plastic crack did you? Will you do one, I do one, and back and forth. What you got this week?
I literally picked this up this morning because she got lost in the mail. And Target was kind enough to issue a refund, and she popped in today. Target, who's not sponsoring this because we prefer Hella Dope, is doing 20% off right now on McFarlane DC toys. So I got this beautiful Wonder Woman. It's the Flashpoint Wonder Woman. She helped me kind of as a BOGO complete my giant cyborg action figure, the Build-A-Figure. So I
Could
had
you
to
hold that
have
up?
her.
Wait, let's not gloss over that for a second. Let's give McFarlane some love here. Let me
This
see
is
that real
a
quick.
big old chunk.
Yeah, and and the audience knows that I'm into big chunky figures. What's the movement like?
He's got your standard ball joint.
Yeah.
Some
So he's a full
movement.
figure. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's
I was
full
concerned about the
blown, same
legs
thing.
from a distance, but those legs
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they're good.
Cool. That is so cool. And with the Build-A-Figures, I've never done a McFarlane Build-A-Figure. Are they like pretty solid, or like some Marvel Build-A-Figures can get feel a little loose?
So the Build-A-Figure scheme on McFarlane is identical to the build of the standard retail figure.
Okay.
Like there's no special engineering going in.
Oh, okay.
You're just popping it in yourself. They're saving some money at the factory.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Quip likes the cut of your bath. As does, figuratively speaking. Hey, Toy Mama. All right. So for me, as far as toys, I totally did that to you too. I'm sorry. By the way, there's a moment in today's thing with you and Allison that was beautiful. Man, Chris can vamp with the best of them. Woo! Okay. Comes with sound effects. This is the Metroid. I don't know if you were ever a Metroid fan. Super
Beautiful.
simple, quote unquote 8 points of articulation, which is true, but it's just cool, man. This is I loved this game. This was one of those eye-opener video games for me that was like, oh, you can do that in a video game in terms of like this large sprawling world, and then surprise you with like they didn't spell out all the little tips and tricks that you could do, and you figure out, oh, if I bomb this, I can climb up, and so good. And then at the end, spoiler alert from a 30 plus, maybe 40-year-old video, no, 38-year-old video game ish. The character takes off their spacesuit, and it turns out you were playing a woman the entire time, Samus Aran, and I want her. The SHF one's going to be small, but anyways, just sharing this. I don't know why I'm talking so much about it, but it's rad. It's this cool spongy.
It's very cool. So that's got to be a third-party release, right?
It's Jakks Pacific.
Really?
Yes. I was surprised too, because the figure that they had, well, I guess it's kind of scaled, right? In my brain, it didn't seem scaled, but yeah, the figure they have is
I have the Zelda and Link that they put out, and they're pretty good for being $10 toys.
Yes. I don't know. I wasn't into. I need a more classic Samus. There's like the new ones with the big, huge shoulders, and everything. But anyway, very cool. How about you? One more. What else you got?
One more. Again, another day pickup today because I wanted to use that 25% off coupon at the Target, who is not Hella Dope Toys, who is better. And it's Ram Man. It's the new Eternia Ram Man. Very cool. The squishy legs are a little weird, but it's just, again, connecting to that childhood nostalgia. This was a toy I liked for whatever reason, but I wish he had a hammer. Because now that he's in hand and seeing him as an adult, I'm getting a very blacksmithy vibe.
Yeah.
So he'd pick up his hammer and join the adventure, if you would.
No, I agree. That's totally like that little I've always thought his puny little axe was weird in even the original toy, just because He-Man came with such a cool battle axe, which
Right.
before Filmation, I'm sorry, I thought the battle axe should have been his main weapon. But anyway, yeah, it's a great fig. It's weird. Like that spongy thing is weird, but he can bend and he can move. I do miss the classics height. I didn't have a classics Ram Man, but I've seen it, and I like the idea of him being a kind of a little bit of a giant. So
yeah. I don't know. I always think of him as being kind of the weird, short, squat tank of the group.
Did you say Hank?
Tank.
Oh, Tank.
Tank.
Like Hank McCoy? Yeah. And if you didn't catch it, quip, yes, Jack Specific. And I think I did show this. I agree. That is a good looking one. It moves. It's just small for my weirdo. I was told that I'm a heathen for collecting 110, but yes. What else did I get? Oh, this I opened up last night. This is not his original axe, but this Dungeons and Dragon Zarak figure
That's
is
NECA, right?
This is NECA. That head, and I put the other head away, but they're just cool looking. Like it almost does look like if you did this in an old movie, that's what the movie makeup would look like. And it doesn't bother me. It looks like a person kind of made up like a goblin, but I dig it. All sorts of fun little materials. This is like a rubber, and it moves really well. That I'll probably show you very soon. I shot footage of it, and there's a short of it up on the channel. So with that, you and I are toy collectors, and we are gonna talk toys. So
I don't know where you got that idea.
Yeah, I thought, weren't you into toys? Yeah, I think
No.
so. Yeah, I love that display back there, man. It's just so fun looking. And yes, those might be AWOCs, Mr. Wonderful. You have a good eye. All right, so housekeeping. Man, I'm dragging a little on getting these out quick, but as it says in that bottom little scrolly majoli thingy, we do this QR code thing around here. And what that actually looks like, where is it? Yeah, what that ends up looking like is you'll see this pop up every now and then. And if you go to that QR code, it'll take you to the links for every episode of the Brick Something News ever. This is actually the 20th episode, so that's kind of a fun milestone. And it's great to have Chris on here. Chris has been on the channel a couple of different times. Look at that, balloons. And we've done some unboxing together. One of the sort of first, like, I don't know if it was your first live stream, but it was kind of one of mine where I felt like I was actually interacting with a person on the other end quite a bit more. Was it a Gundam? I think you were doing a Gundam model. Do you remember that at all? And
yes,
I'm in Florida in the NASA museum.
Yes, I remember that because I was building the urban ground type Gundam. And you were checking out the space museum there over in Florida, and I thought, boy, my wife would be jelly because she loves space.
Yes, and it was cool, but clearly I was maybe not enjoying family fun time as I probably should have, but I was like, oh, this is fun. Let's check this out. So anyway, it's been fun hanging out. We've done a couple things on your channel, which we'll talk about later at the end, but I appreciate you here to celebrate the 20th episode of the news. Speaking of, let's get to it. Balloons. All right. So we always kind of start off with it's this needless ephemera we saw. So what is the stuff that was seen? So let's start off actually kind of doing some wrap up with some of the recent crowd funds. And I want to say shout out to Ray, who reminded me earlier that we should probably talk about this stuff and do I guess a little closure and talk about how they ended. So there have been a couple of them more recently, and this one, as you can see, I backed. And it succeeded. It hit its goal. This is the legendary action figures. Was this at all something that was on your radar?
I actually backed this. I backed a 2-figure pack on this. I don't know. I kind of like just like kind of spacey skeleton people. So
Okay.
I'm there.
Well, this is perfect because definitely there was some spacey skeleton people. Do you happen to remember which ones you got? Or yeah, is that at all something? Oh,
I,
they don't even show them anymore.
I don't think did they do a survey yet? Because I just did the two figures, and I thought we later did a survey and said I want
Oh,
that one
yeah,
and
yeah.
that one.
So you did like a back of 2 figures. Got it.
Yeah.
Have you thought about which ones you are do you have a sense of where you're gonna go?
I did. It's been a
I
hot
know.
minute since I
Same,
looked at
same.
them.
Well, here let's do some quick review. These are, I believe, all of them. Let's see, is the yes, this is all of them. The exclusive is here. Any ones you're leaning to, if it helps you as you're trying to remember, I believe I only did, was it 1 or 2? But originally I definitely wanted this translucent guy. I think I might have in the end said 2 so that I could pick up the winged guy as well. But there's a chance I only got the 1, and I can look in a second to remind me which 2 or how many I backed. How about you?
Well, I definitely was feeling the Skeletor-esque figure to his right.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely right there.
Yep.
And I kind of liked this 2 figures to the right of there, that kind of
To his
Space
right.
Centurion there. Yeah.
Yep. These were, they kind of this campaign, legendary meta travelers is what I guess the broader name of the project is. The designers that they got working on this were folks that worked at Marvel worked on a Marvel comic book, Guardians of the Galaxy, sort of the newer Guardians of the Galaxy, not necessarily the ones. Well, anyways, the comic is very different from the movie, but the
Yes.
more recent runs, and this actually gives me a little bit of the helmet for Peter Quill, but a little bit. So I definitely see the influences. They're very like modern, spacey. That's a cool one. Yeah, it was tough. Like there's some cool things here, but I've said this before. I'm kind of a less is more kind of person. So these were like I didn't go full hog with these. I think they're cool. I feel like they are also like they remind me of like the 90s comics where there was a little bit more of that more is more in terms of design, color, outfits, right? So the notion of like he's got pouches, he's got canisters, very the
You
folks
know,
that eventually became Image Comics kind of.
they're almost like Small Soldiers meets Fortnite
Mm-hmm.
meets just
Mm-hmm.
90s throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
Yep. And a lot of people were really into him. So like Thanos, definitely was into that crystal dude. Yes, I know. Look at Aaron, definitely. Like he's got a bunch of different things that he's getting, and it's like I respect that. But this is kind of where I'm going. I agree, Dorlax, and there's a little bit of Rob Liefeld approval on some of this, with the exception of semi-realistic anatomy. Other folks are looking at this in terms of BBTS maybe later, Rick. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. They're busy, right? And they might, I feel like they may not be as timeless, I guess. But I know it's a total subjective aesthetic thing. They definitely came from Image Comics, like 90s extreme, which again, that was like what, 25, 30 years ago now.
Right. And so suddenly, if you think about it in those terms,
Yep.
it's almost its own version of timeless.
Yep. And for those who aren't sure and haven't done this, I've seen Kickstarters handle this differently. So if you did back, they'll open up the backer kit. It's sort of this like post-campaign thing where you can even add more later. And then some people have actually opened up backer kit to anyone later who's interested that didn't necessarily back. I've seen that happen. That's actually how I got into AWOC. So yeah, I think they're really cool stuff. I love that there is a little bit of the the Fortnite vibe over here.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I think the sort of modern toy collector young person needs to needs to just have their toys. And I like that someone's trying to reach out to them. And I know I totally buried the lead for maybe most of my audience and for myself, but this is also being handled production wise, and the sculpting and the articulation engineering is all being handled by the Four Horsemen. So, and they work well with the lines I have. So anyway, yep, that's that. I should probably move on. But as you mentioned, so the campaign closed on October 24th. And so they're just letting you know that they're going to be sending us a survey where you sort of finalize, like, what are the rewards that I want for my backing. So keep that in mind as we go through. They 673 backers pledged $190,000 to bring this project to life. So that's a lot of people spending a lot of money on toys. Roughly at the same time that another company was asking a lot of people to spend a lot of money on toys, this time in the form of Creative Beast Studios, Cyberzoic. Was this at all something on your radar?
I saw it, but I'm just not a Dino Riders guy, and I know that was a big draw for people on this line.
Yeah.
I do still see a little bit of Zoids in there, but Zoids still kind of exist.
Yeah.
But I know you.
Yeah, I mean, we don't got to get into everything. I did, but I chickened out.
Did you?
Well, in the sense of I backed quite a bit in the beginning. So let me, here's the thing too with this one, man. They kept down to the wire. They're just like, are you sure? You sure you don't want more? Because they kept revealing some really cool stuff. And the nice thing about this campaign is this one got backed pretty early because an investor came in and kind of like backfilled what the big gap that they needed to get past that first hurdle. And then after that, the money just kept coming in from other people. And so my sense is they got the money to produce what they need to, but anything that maybe didn't get unlocked, like, Creative Beast Studio is an existing toy company that's been doing things and has been creating this line and these concepts for a while. So I don't think that anything that wasn't quote unquote unlocked in this campaign I don't think it's off the table. I think it's entirely possible that we'll be seeing these nonetheless. Like, we'll be seeing these toys. Oh, there you go. And you can see what I ended up. So when I say I chickened out, I had more than this.
Sure.
I did have more than this, but I had to take stock. I had to ask myself some serious life questions. No, I had to take stock of all the things that are coming. G-Con is next week, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which is the beginning of Legions Con weekend. So there's going to be some new stuff that I know I will be interested in. So I only got a $200 dragon.
That's all.
That's all. But man, the things in this are amazing, and it's 4-inch too. That helped push me away a little bit. Although the creatures themselves are like gorgeous and can hang out with definitely like a Masters Universe type shelf where, like, nobody cared that the Battle Cat was a giant tiger. Nobody cared that Zoar was a giant eagle. Actually, eagles can be that big. But yes, check out the fun named, I guess the colloquially named monkey-eating eagle from the Philippines. It is a thing. So this stuff's great, and it funded, and like I said, a lot of people backed it, and that's a lot of toy buyers who are spending a lot of money on a brand new line, which is rad. Congrats to Creative Beast Studio for their new toy line, just adding to what they've already been doing with Beasts of the Mesozoic. I agree with you. I see Zoids. I see Dino Riders.
Mm-hmm.
I see, I don't know if you watch Netflix, what is it called? The Dragon Prince, but the dragon in this looked very much like the kinds of dragons.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So they're, taking elements that I love, and the lore is great. It's some really cool story. So I'm excited for it. I'm happy to know that this is coming as a new line. And yeah, other people in here clearly, yes, these guys hurt Oz's soul. There's a lot in there that we had to kind of move. There was a last other green dragon that was very snake-like, almost like a Chinese dragon in terms of its body type. But again, I think that's coming, Ray, even if it didn't unlock. I'm with Thanos. This is where I know exactly what he ordered. We did the exact same thing. And your boys got to go. Oh, your boys got toys. Exactly. There are so many great crowd funds, which is why, man, what are we in here? Like already roughly 30 minutes into it, and the whole beginning is going to be a crowd fund. So
absolutely.
And thank you, Ray. I wasn't following towards the end because I didn't want to look and buy more. But yeah, apparently they unlocked everything on Cyberzoic. And there's more to come. There's a lot of concepts that were kind of thrown around early that didn't quite make it, but that weren't as that didn't make it to like the be offered necessarily. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Amanda's here and thought that Adam would be home by now, so wasn't going to comment. I'm here to help with some watch hours, and just have to say Victoria was excited to get a shout out. Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Yes. And very awesome to meet you today. And I apologize for enabling your husband and Victoria to a certain extent, but good luck housing their new Plunderlings collection. Love Dino Riders, love Zoid, says Evo Genius, but this falls victim to budget timing for me. But if it releases into retail, I'll revisit it. It will release into retail, so definitely keep it on your radar. But I think what you're saying here, Evo, as well as what was brought up earlier by Your Boys Got Toys, I think that's kind of what we're dealing with here when I get to this next one. I think there's many reasons why this campaign, which ended late last night or early this morning, they were going for 120,000 on the street humans line, headed by Shartimus Prime, YouTuber Prime in many ways, as well as like talented folks like David Vonner, who's been in the industry for a very long time and is responsible for a lot of the toys that we all love, including Marvel Legends. And Gash, what is Mr. Gash? Is it Brandon Gash? Ooh, sorry if I'm forgetting your name, but like some talented folks. And I name that because I've heard lots of different sort of theories as to why it didn't succeed. Some folks have claimed like, oh, I don't feel comfortable backing something by maybe like a YouTube influencer who might not have the experience or the time to kind of do what's needed, the kind of work that's needed to kind of keep this, to make a toy line successful. I hear that. I have a hard time kind of wrapping my head around it because we don't know. I don't know Chardonnay to know how much time he's putting into it. And it feels a little odd to me, especially when you realize he's working with some really great people who have a lot of experience. But I was excited about this line. We kind of talked about it on GDL. Was that last weekend or the weekend before?
That was before the week
recently.
Before. Yeah,
2 weeks ago. They didn't make it. This is their second attempt. They did the first one and kind of like paused it mid-campaign. They did this one. They ended up getting a 2-week extension, and so fell about $30,000 short. That said, Shartimus has been sort of doing the tour for this and really trying to like go around and talk to people about what's going on. And in those interviews, he made it really clear that this is not the end. No matter what happens, we can continue with this line. He's going to push as much as he can to sort of continue. This is what I ended up backing. I ended up backing this with an add-on of the other one? What was the other add-on I got? It was basically the other figure with a different colored pants. I forgot. Oh, black jeans, and let's see. Oh, I gotta click in here. No, well, we're not gonna do that. Anyways, I got the two figures with a different colored pants. So I basically, I needed to get the black jeans because that's often my uniform. And then the other one I think was the sort of brown, the khaki Dickies is what I'm calling them. So I like this line a lot. I don't really need to go too much into it. We've got stuff to cover, but I'm kind of bummed that I didn't make it.
You know, I just did one figure because I mean, I like the idea of just army building just people.
Yep.
But I didn't have a lot of relation to what he was building here. So
Sure.
But I like supporting a dream like this, and there's always room on a shelf or even a photo booth for characters like this.
100%. And then there's their original characters as well, especially with the alien heads, and he's got a whole storyline. They even did like a cool little animation, and you've got the in a world voice doing the narration and stuff. So it is, Rick, too bad that it fell short. I too, like Ray, was hoping that it would work out. And I think at the end of the day, it's this. Oh, actually, let's go here. Dorlaxon. Yeah. I think there's too much saturation. So very, very many companies wanting your money. I can see it being hard to fund anything at all because of that alone, regardless of quality or experience. 100%. I think, I definitely think that that's true. I think there's an argument to be made about like, oh, what if you arrange this offering, etc. But at the end of the day, I think Dorlaxon's right that it's getting, we hear people are saying too many things. We only have some things we can pay attention to, spend our money, and have space for. But yeah, this is where I was trying to get like, yeah, Shard. I love saying that. Shard. Shartimus isn't out yet. Like, he's gonna see if he can, probably find other investors and see if we can, like, he can now say, look, this many people were interested. We raised about 90,000. We didn't quite get the goal we needed to meet full production, but clearly there's interest, and hopefully we go from there. Yeah, I wanted Russ to fund, but I just couldn't muster the interest in the product. And
right now is just a time of 100 crowd funds. We're rolling into holiday season. Money is just too pulled apart. It's just too thin.
Yeah, it's true. And it's and everything everyone else has said, it's a saturated market, and I haven't looked at that. So check that out. Go to the Street Humans Insta page, and we'll see sort of what his post is. Good to see Black Knight in here before their show. What's going on? And I don't know if you realize, Black Knight, but today's show is brought to you. I'm just kidding. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on and good luck to Russ and Shartimus Prime, because there's definitely more work to do. Yay area. What's up, Pacifica? Rooting for you. Rooting for the home team. Speaking of the home team, not too far from Pacifica in San Francisco, there's another crowdfunding thing, right? And just not to spend too much time on this, and we'll move pretty quickly. But first off, they released this graphic. I really appreciate Super 7's marketing team in general. I think they do such a great job. The X-Files reference, the little Cobra logo, a little corny, but really fun. For a cool Cobra mothership. This campaign's still going, I think, until, actually, we'll see in a little bit, December something. It didn't quite get the early bird thing, which was, I think, October 12th, or maybe a little bit after that, where you could get and they weren't really offering a ton. It was like some vinyl, what do you call them? Parachutes. I remember.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Did you have those as a kid? There were some G.I. Joe ones, little camouflage ones.
I think I had more just the cheap, Green Army men with the bags, but more or less the same idea.
Yeah, and I don't remember if the parachutes were unique, because my memory fails me, or if they came with the hang gliders, which we also had, those foam GI Joe hang gliders. I don't know if you knew that was a thing.
No.
Super cheap, because you'd throw it would fall, it would break. But anyway, so that was kind of a little thing. They didn't quite make the early bird funding, so that's out. But all this cool stuff is in. What was that? Oh, there you go.
I was just gonna say, there's some really neat stuff here, but I will,
yeah,
Fire the Cloud. I kind of don't have a lot of hope for this one.
Oh no, I understand why. But what you're thinking about? Why? Maybe why?
It's just it's fairly niche. It's very expensive, and it's going head to head right now with I think the Golden Goose in nerd crowdfunding, the HasLab, the Ghost Trap.
Yeah. Do you think there's direct competition though? That's the thing I always wonder about, because I feel like the market can sometimes be segmented.
I don't think there's not a lot of direct competition, but it's a similar pool of consumers. You're still pulling on that same 80s kid nostalgia.
Yeah, agreed. And I wonder, I don't know. I don't know to what extent O-ring a Real American Hero collectors are, and the other O-ring lines after, to what extent they're real, like, kind of pure when it comes to trying to keep their collection to what Hasbro provided or anything like that. Because I've met some people like that. I don't know if they're necessarily all like that, if that's a strong sentiment in that community. I could see folks being like, oh, this is not vintage. But I think there's a lot of us who are also like, damn, I remember when that thing showed up at the beginning of the movie, and you actually did see these cool parachutes in that beginning, if I'm remembering right in the beginning. And it was cool. It's huge, 32 inches. All right, I said be quick, and I'm never quick. This is classic Chris and Brick. We go. So real quick, features. Lights are cool. My vintage stuff didn't really do that. But is it, as you pointed out, worth this money? $500? I don't know. I hope that if you're going to spend this money, like, yeah, you want this. And so I hope you get it. I hope you get an opportunity to get that. I believe, yeah, that's what Ray was saying too. Cause like, yeah, I mean, there's just so many, we're all nerds about something.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And it's someone's passion. Like, I love G.I. Joe. I wanted this thing ever since I saw the movie, and we don't have it. So, and I respect Super 7 for these things, like between the Cat's Lair, before that, the Snake Mountain, which I know was kind of a continuation of a Mattel thing. The cat, what am I trying to say? The Thunder Tank and the van, like, they're definitely, what's the phrase? Help me out with a sports reference. Batting for the fences? Is that a thing people say?
Yeah, it's swinging.
For the
fences.
Thank you. Swinging for the fences. Sports. So I don't know. I think
they're definitely not batting 1,000.
Sure. That I kind of understood that. But they're just like making big swings, and I appreciate that. Like, as a collector, I hope, like, yeah, I hope that people recognize that piece. Hey, Ken, this thing absolutely is a beast. I know Ken has a beast that's much beastlier than this in the USS Flag. So that's always kind of interesting when I do hear folks say stuff like that. But it's like, they also have really big G.I. Joe vintage vehicles that they collect. So I kind of understand this, I would say, more than the Cat's Lair. Because, like, if you're used to getting Joes and you like some of those other things, I feel like you could make this work. But we'll see. Pre-orders close Monday, December 11th. They got 1,427 backers. Their goal is to get to here, 4,000. That's less than 50% of the way, but it is still, we've got more than a full month. So fingers crossed for those who want it. Let's go ahead and move on. Brick Something. I dabble in a little thing called Lego, and my collection is pretty sizable. I got to tell you that if I took out, I had all my boxes from all the sets that I've collected in my lifetime, it would look a little larger than what you see here. But what you're seeing here is a worth of, is it really that much? Anyway, 1,130 boxes. These are not 1,130 boxes. There's probably more.
Sure.
They seized these in Australia from a family that had sort of a little drug lab going on.
Yeah. So, I live in a fairly methy part of the world. And I don't know how valuable those Legos are because they're going to soak up some of that.
Well,
excuse me. I said Legos, which is a party foul. Lego.
I was actually going to be really gracious and not say anything, but yes, they check this out, man. So selling meth and getting paid in Lego. Yeah. I wonder if that's how that worked. I don't quite know. And yes, this is a great adjective. They appreciate your, so this has to say something about how much toys. I've often said this, going back to action figures, and I tend to buy some ones that probably aren't the best price points that, I still experience reverse sticker shock from buying Lego because Lego are not cheap. So this is a lot. And as far as what they're going to do with these, police will allege, so their case is going to say that the Lego, and then they found some gemstones, are proceeds of crime, so that they acquired this as a result of their criminal activity, which is fun. So either, yes, they were actually paid for in Lego, or more likely, they took their money. And can you imagine that? Took your money and you're like, oh man, I got this habit. Well, actually, we don't know. We're being very judgy. We don't know that they used. They might just be intense adult fan of Legos. And I said it, adult fans of Legos, what I was trying to say.
Sure.
And so maybe they just, they just found a way to fund their other habit.
Well, it's as Ray says here, Breaking Bad Lego set. We don't know that Walter White, while trying to pack away for his family with his terminal cancer diagnosis, didn't also build a little bit of Lego to pass the time.
And if you know much about Lego, often we say, don't invest in toys. That's a bad investment. Lego might be the one standout and consistent, consistently, I don't know, standout difference, or what am I trying to say? The outlier in that conversation, because Lego actually does retain its value, and almost always increases in value, especially if they look like this, all minty and box. They might smell of some weird chemicals, but yes.
Again, I will say, I'll caveat, those chemicals will penetrate the plastic.
Yeah.
That's...
Unless we may have this all wrong. Two things. Maybe Ray's right. Maybe they actually found a way to make a meth lab from the Lego, or there's something in Lego's recipe for the actual brick that they found is particularly good for the product that they're trying to manufacture.
Right. So their special blend there in the Lego's possessive recipe.
And I love that Lego's possessive. Hey man, there's something to it, because I'll tell you, Lego is pretty damn addictive. Moving on. Indie toy makers, Legends of Dragonor, they've done their Wave 1 figures, and finally people have gotten them in hands. I hope everyone's gotten your figures. But wave 2 is on the horizon. And so we'd seen some of these designs before, including I love this guy and these two. But I don't know that I noticed this one. And I hope that they maybe worked with someone to develop the design of this.
I'm like, representation, yay. Boy, I hope that's not just a stereotype.
But I mean, I'm gonna reserve judgment, and I am not at all an indigenous Native American, North American. So but yeah, same goes for a lot of these designs. And I will say, like, this is the one that I think is catching people's attention. I'm a little offended as a Wiccan myself. No, I'm just looking at the design of this witch.
So this
character.
Makes way more sense from the side.
Yes, so you've seen the other angle.
Yeah, I was just like, is it a gun? What are they?
Witches have some maybe interesting anatomy, or that is in fact a broom that is some kind of steampunky invention in the world of Dragonor. But I will say I appreciate the way that this is following the tradition of Masters of the Universe, which a lot of these were inspired by the early concepts or alt concepts of Mark Taylor, I believe. And then they even had to redesign them because they essentially were told you can't produce those as are too close to the Masters of the Universe. And this world is what they came up with. So clearly they love that line. And in the spirit of that, where basically you could fit in anything, you could fit in a cowboy, you could fit in a samurai, anything, a walking skeleton. They're just like, well, great, Halloween witches, right? So I'll give it to them, but it's a little odd. But the other piece of this is the articulation. I would love the concept of a witch on a broom mechanism like this is cool. I like the whole like joystick controller thing. I just wish you could like do more with her legs, kind of like, and maybe hold on to it. But cool concept. This is really cool. So it's your
nice.
Manny Faces style. So Horadame is her name, has this cool feature. And that head is very cool. It's a little bit, someone in the chat, can you remind me of the motion picture He-Man bad guy that was created just for the movie with the white hair, white face? Kind of looks a little bit like that, but it also looks very V. Remember V?
Yes.
Nolan's liking the native looking guy. We've got like the Swamp Thing, the sort of the tree kind of character looks great. Thanos is really into this line, got wave one of the early pre-orders, and he's all in. Gonna get a bunch of those cavemen. The cavemen look fantastic. They're definitely my favorite. Agreed, nice designs. These do not have the same articulation as Motu Origins. These have a little bit more limited. They don't have the same joints on the elbows or knees. So yeah, that witch is everything. And Cowboy Bebop. What are they talking? Are we talking Cowboy Bebop? Yeah, we are talking. And you did not miss it. You did miss the poor job I did of covering the crowdfunding. So I hope that doesn't bother you if you decide to watch back. Let's move on. Chris, you like DC?
I do. Is this a third party?
It is
Nightmare
a third
Batman?
party. Yeah. Yes, Nightmare Batman. Good call on the actual, I guess, term that people are using, because I don't know that I paid enough attention to kind of remember. Anyways, that movie lost me a little bit. The Snyder Cut helped me understand a little bit more what they were going for.
Sure.
But this is not the Nightmare Batman, actually, because this is the Kryptonite Seeker, Chris. Let's not get it twisted.
I could see where I got confused.
Yes.
That was the crosstown rival.
This is a 112 because when I first looked at this, sometimes it's got so much detail, and especially with the soft goods and the way that's cut, I'm like, is this like a 1/6? It is a 112. There are 3 different versions. You can get one with the 1 head, a 2 head, or a 3 head pack, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But I have to show you this. This is by Muff Toys. They have a 1:12 collection.
Yeah, that doesn't look like anything I've seen before.
Yes, which might feel a little familiar. But here it is. It is in fact 112. You can see that compared to the size of the hand, those soft goods. Man, like that coat is pretty damn good. You know, I didn't fully understand this the first time I saw it in the film, but I did get some, Dark Knight vibes. I remember him with that sort of grappling cannon that, or grappling gun in that comic that captured my imagination. So I assumed he was trying to mimic that in the film, and I feel like it's totally captured in this figure that has nothing to do with Batman whatsoever.
Right. It reminds me of how good Ben Affleck would have had of a costume of the Kryptonite Seeker. If that was a thing.
Kryptonite Seeker. Yeah, I could see Ben Affleck doing something like this because I know he's done with things like Batman, so he could be Kryptonite Seeker. So here it is, available on 5K Toys. But for some reason, they just blank it out because they're like, no, we wouldn't sell gray area knockoff figures. But by the way, if you wanted this, you can get one with 1 standard head. So that's why I showed you the pictures because, they intentionally cover things up because somehow that makes things better. If you get this, you actually get the 1 head.
Sure.
Then you get the 3 heads with the scarf. I love the scarf, by the way. And then this one comes with a deluxe base. And so, and there's the deluxe base. Oh, if you just wanted to get the base. So 5K does a thing where you put yourself a little deposit, but they'll always sort of list out the price. So that version A with the 1 head ultimately works out to be $104.99. That's a $20 deposit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a premium spendy. 134 for the 3 heads and scarf. 170 for the 3 heads, scarf, and base. And then if you just want a base, because bases are cool, $45.
I was gonna say I already have a Scott Pilgrim, so I've got a Rickenbacker hanging around here.
Oh, nice base. Yes, well done.
That was lame. Job. Don't worry.
No. Well done. I caught it as a bass player. I was like, ooh, Rickenbacker. I was like, for a second, I had flashbacks to the Lobo. I thought I was back talking about Lobo and trying to figure out what that thing he's carrying is. Anyway, I've heard you say like, yeah, I love DC. You've even lamented that license has been stuck, at least for the more retail versions with one vendor, with McFarlane, and that. Right. Who would you like to see doing some retail level figures?
When Mattel lost the license, I was really hoping for NECA at the time because we had the few of their Comic-Con exclusive DC figures out there in the ether.
Yep.
But as much as I lament McFarlane, we are getting great toys from him. It's just bad selection.
Yeah.
And even these premium toys, what are they making? Not Batman's.
Yep. This is for the base. Yeah, no, it's 100% true that as far as the selection goes, because they're coming out with some really interesting variants. Like we were just talking a little bit about, wait a second, I don't think you showed all your toys.
Oh, I have toys everywhere. I don't.
No, but did you show Wonder Woman?
Yes, I showed her. She was the first thing I put up with Cyborg.
Oh, that's right. That's the Build-A-Figure part. Sorry, getting old. But so that one in particular, cool. I like it because I'm kind of into the whole sword and sorcery thing. But I can imagine people who are like, man, where are these other characters that I want, right? Let alone it took them so long to give me like a standard up to date or standard Wonder Woman, but like
they still
other
haven't actually put her out. It's just the preview, and it's going to be an NFT packed in figure, which is so miserable and ugh.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize there was a I didn't realize there was an NFT thing. Oof.
Yeah, because that was an announcement back at, I think, San Diego Comic-Con when they initially announced that figure, that she was going to be part of an NFT line.
Got it. Well, McFarlane makes some interesting choices, as your boys got toys. Got to remind us, if only Muff Toys would Jokerize him, that would be the.
So we all like to mock Jokerized figures so desperately, and I've made fun of them, and I've had a McFarlane collector go, I'm just really disappointed this is coming out without a Jokerized, and they were not kidding.
No, I think absolutely there is a there's a reason they're doing it. I don't think he does it just to do it. I think he, being the entire company, and Todd, they know what sells and what their audience is into. So,
right, they're supposedly, they're a private company. They don't have to release any financial statements, but as far as they're concerned, DC is printing money for them. That figure line is just killing it for that brand.
Yeah. So more power to you, but Muff Toys is here to try to give you some unlicensed competition. I think it's really cool. I really love great toys. I think it's a great coat. That's why, like, I look at all these little pieces, like, damn, the little rope on that gun. So
I'm sorry, I was just looking around because I just remembered, like, I got the Mezco 112 Robin recently. And I haven't really done much with him outside of open it up and went, this is great, and put it back in the box, and that was life.
And that was probably a little bit more than a McFarlane. All right, let's move on to this. I know you're interested in this. You're the one who said, hey, let's check this out. And I saw those too, and I was like, yes, love these. What are you thinking about these?
So these are just concepts, right? Like, there's nobody actually making these.
This is 100% fan art, just a fan artist doing, like, hey, what if?
Right, and they're very Super 7 Ultimate. That's specifically what they were aiming to make you feel.
Oh, I didn't catch that, but sure. I see it.
You got the lack of ab articulation, kind of the more basic schema that you see in Super 7. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think these would be just beautiful because on some level, real Ghostbusters was the thing we could have in our hands as a kid.
Yep. And they fully, like, continue the line's aesthetic, but trying to, like, really pull in a little bit more on model with a cartoon. I love the choices with the ghosts. And so there's a little bit more of a write-up on each of these individual posts in terms of, like, what they chose to include. I love this. I love all the ghosts. That's always been my favorite part of these Ghostbuster toys. But with this, of course, like, the proposal is like, hey, let's give this the level of deco that wasn't necessarily possible in the original line. And that thing looks amazing.
Absolutely.
Again, just fan concepts. This is not anything anyone is looking to produce or promise. This feels very like the modern toy solution, right? Like, not necessarily doing the full-on action feature, play feature, but just doing a plugged head.
Well, yeah, we're seeing that right now with everything Masters of the Universe. It's easier to give Mech a neck and a neck extension than it is to actually pop that out of his head.
And this would be a first, right? To get extreme Ghostbusters, Kylie Griffin.
Right.
What were the other two? There was a Latino dude, and there was a dude in a wheelchair, right?
Yes.
I forget the names.
I don't think I saw one whole episode of the show.
Oh, really?
Catching bits of it and being very confused.
I tried as a kid, and I watched a couple of them. I was like, oh, okay, interesting to see kind of Ghostbusters, give it a shot. I like the idea of, like, working with, like, a new group of people. It, it wasn't the best thing, but and what always bothered me is the way they looked, honestly. Like, come on, at least give them the jumpsuit. But, like, I know it was 80s, it was extreme. This is exactly what we're talking with Legendary, right? Like, no, give them a vest, give them this, give them that, and then wild hair, knee pads.
Yeah, but what if she had football pads for fighting ghosts?
I like the pistol thing, but yeah, it still didn't totally make sense. And of course, classic villain from the comics, Sam Hain.
Just beautiful.
Great episode. Yes. And this coming into the trap. Beautiful.
I couldn't imagine trying to balance it though. Like the weight distribution on that.
Yeah. It'll fall over. But I don't know. Maybe there's no, it'll fall over. I'd love to see the werewolves and the vampires, and then werewolves turning into vampires and vampires turning into werewolves, if you remember that at all. Yeah. Some people take issue with you, by the way.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't good. I just I didn't know what time it was on, and when I saw it, it was like kind of a fever dream kind of situation. Like, I think I saw Ghostbusters, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah. And this was actually made by someone who is a sculptor at Mondo, but not necessarily for Mondo. So I don't want to confuse you with this comment. I know Quip is not making that connection necessarily, but just to name that. Imagine these at 1/6, Mondo would get the paint absolutely just right. But Super 7 could expand into all those fun ghosts from the cartoon. They would, right? If a Super 7 got it, they would mine every little reference and go far and make you pay for it. But definitely love it. This is by Fanplastic 4. Fantastic account. And when I get the links, I know Thanos is dropping them into the live. But yeah. So lots of cool comments. I'm going to definitely move through these as quickly as I can because we've got other stuff. But thank you. Eduardo, Roland, and Garrett were the other extreme Ghostbusters.
Kind of the Doritos of Ghostbusters.
All right. To the extreme heat. Yes. Real quick, Cosmic Legions. I love it. I love Mythic Legions. I love Figure Obscura. I love what Four Horsemen do. They put out simple instructions because this figure that's shipping now, there are a little bit of issues with the joint between the hips and the torso, the connection point there. And I didn't really have any real reason to show this other than the really cool art of a figure in a clear, soaking hot mug. That's all. Did you enjoy that? Because I did. But yeah, don't break your toys. More importantly, this Friday. So this weekend is going to be Mythic Legions weekend where they're doing Legions Con, but right before Legions Con, there's a Wednesday. Is it a Wednesday or Thursday event? I think it's Thursday, where they actually do intern for a day where they bring people into the office, people who sort of win a raffle, get to go and like hang out for Horsemen Studios. And oftentimes they see all sorts of goodies that are being worked on in progress. And then they and other people get to go the next day to this thing called G-Con, where really it's just them sharing what the next wave is. And this is the next big release. It's a way to kind of drum up excitement from some of the most hardcore fans. And they've been streaming them. Last year, I was home and I guess it was Veterans Day. I thought maybe I was playing hooky, but I guess it was Veterans Day. And if you've never seen a grown man screaming by himself because there are toys revealed on the screen, you might get a replay this Friday at my house. Cause man, like they just show some of the most amazing things. And then it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember back in the day when Steve Jobs used to do the product reveals and they were kind of like this big thing. It's basically that for a different kind of nerdy set.
Sure.
There's always, and this, and then there's this, and there one more thing. So I don't know if that's on necessarily everyone's radar, but if you're curious and you're free on Friday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, my time, early nerd, it'll be on YouTube on the Four Horsemen Studios channel. And they're just going to show you these figures and show you what's coming. And if it's anything like last year, and every time Four Horsemen release something new, they're always pushing it. New parts, new level of paint, new soft goods. So I am curious to see what we get out of this. But did you ever dip your toes in the Mythic Legions? I thought you did.
I have a few. I will admit and own up to being a mythic flipper.
I remember. Yes.
There's money
That's
in
fine.
them, their legions.
Yep.
But I do have a couple of the Necronominus
Yep.
wave pre-ordered
Yep.
with one planned for myself because, you know, it's a golden skeleton and I love skeletons.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So those are, you're going to keep some of those potentially.
Yeah.
Yes. A couple people here will be there. Brian Brink will be there. Please go check him out. Say hello. He'll be at the Crashbox Customs booth. I know Adam, Highly Articulated, will be there, making sure that everybody knows to keep it more newsy and relevant here. The reveals this Friday are at the hotel, and they're open to anyone who's at the con if you can fit into the room. And they may, I've heard, may have like an overflow room where people can just sort of hang out and watch the stream. So, and Adam will be at the AWOC table. So that's awesome. So glad y'all are going to connect. Nolan has a question. Are the Rising Sons a new faction? No, they are not. So this is actually a way to release two factions, the update new two factions, the House of the Noble Bear here on the left and the Red Star. And so that doesn't, if there's another word there, and people can correct me, Red Star something, but they're like the assassins, the kind of like gray area, technically not a whole lot of allegiance to anyone. So we're getting two factions in this one wave, and it's Rising Sons in reference to some of the lore because there are sons involved. Children involved in this. So check it out. Okay, moving on. I know some folks wanted to see some of this. I know this was something that someone with great taste wanted to talk about. What did you want to talk about, Chris?
Well, boy, talk about a character who is dying for just a gorgeous action figure. I unfortunately only have the best action one, which is kind of a thumb painted to look like Speigel. But you know, so you messaged me and I didn't read next week, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta start finding cool stuff. And that was the first thing I flung.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, then the word news here is, you know, it's fungible. Yeah, no, it could be anything. You could show me something from last year if you wanted to, but this is great. Yeah, so what's the deal with this?
So it's a 1/6, so it's a 12-inch.
Yeah, that's a beautiful detail.
Right, but it's got wonderful soft goods. I think they said it's $150, which is not unreasonable for that size.
It's good. I don't know. I mean, I don't buy a whole lot, but from when I see some of the prices, it's good. What's a Mondo? Like $200?
Yeah, I think they can be high hundreds to the 200s.
Oh, it depends if it's a deluxe or not. Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. There is an SH Figure Arts Spike, highly articulated, but good luck finding it for less than your kidney.
And yeah, you're going to end up paying something close to what you should just put into, well, if you are willing to go 1/6. This by ThreeZero. I have some old ThreeZero stuff, quality stuff, and this just like, love the tailoring. I'm always intrigued by soft goods that just look so good on the body, especially like, look at that, skinny as hell.
Right.
Jeans or slacks. I've always loved the design of Spike, the sort of like future suit. It's kind of interesting, you know, the way that the coat kind of falls open and stuff. I love just that perfect like tie. That's, you know, exactly from
it's exactly just disheveled enough.
Yep. And look at that hair, man. Like, that's a gorgeous sculpt. Like, that's not necessarily something that gets figured out in the 2D renderings of it, right? So that's cool.
You know, my wife's not a cartoon person. She doesn't like animation, but she watched Cowboy Bebop. She loves Cowboy Bebop. To the point we named our dog after a character from Cowboy Bebop.
Who?
Edward.
Ah.
And it's because our dog, Edward, is half Corgi, part healer, and that particular breed, when they're mixed, is called a Cowboy Corgi.
Oh, cute. Look at that. This got to be a hand. That's a hand with.
It's got to be.
Yeah. But very cool. No, I think he's such a cool character. He's always sort of been like, I'm gonna do it. That Netflix live action thing, I don't think, they tried. It's a hard character to kind of capture and make, I think, fans who aren't familiar with anime in general, I think, want to like watch.
You
And
know what?
I don't know.
I liked it. It was different. It wasn't. I don't think from the go it was going to live up to the original material.
Yeah.
But they were going and trying something different, and I really wish we could have seen where that went.
Such cool detail. Yeah, I think this is such a great representation of this character. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, man, there are so many good properties out there that could be done that aren't necessarily getting some attention, and I'm so happy to see this. Look at the detail even on the gun. Yeah.
Yes, Brian, there is a movie. It is just kind of a random bounty adventure in the middle of the series, but it's good. It's very good.
There's the answer to that. I didn't get far at all. There was something about that pacing. I tried to even sort of watch it with other people who aren't into anime, and I don't know, that might have affected. If I just watch it by myself, I feel like I might give it a little bit more of a shot. Nolan is willing to trade his kidney for it. Yeah. I hear Brian on that toy collector logic. Like, that's like 2 whole Mythic Legions figure space. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I think, if you can treat yourself to the occasional 1/6, make it special, make it a thing. I think it's a wonderful scale, but I couldn't go full in.
Yeah. Well, it's a cool toy. I think it's great. It's not my scale, but I feel like I could make this actually work in my weirdo, like half naked barbarian and laser guns thing some way, somehow, because of the sort of spacey look at this. But anyway, very cool. Moving on. Oh God, it's 5:49. Okay, we'll move quicker.
Sure.
And we're not going to get through everything. So I just wanted to update. This is something that I looked at with Cloud last time. This is a total custom droid, like super vintage Kenner style mixed in with other properties. So they did these like cool homages to wind up droids from the 70s. And but just wanted to follow up because he even said, he's just like, oh my goodness. Like, oh, it wasn't in these. He was sort of showing the designs, and he's like,
Sure.
man, like I'm going way too deep into this project. And he's
they look great. I did catch that last week, and I was just like, oh man, those are incredible.
Yep. So now you're getting cards too. And I want to say there was an attempt, like he explored the idea of them being stickers. I don't think they ended up actually being stickers. But look at this. Oh, so cool. That if you're familiar with the old Star Wars trading cards from back in the day, very much that's the artwork right there. Yellow field text, and yeah, great stuff. Let's see, what can we zoom through? Let's go to let's do some updates real quick for some custom stuff. So let's move over to Customs Corner. Some Dragonor. So if you, for whatever reason, aren't into your Dragonor head sculpt, Bujubu's got you. What is it called? Mega Custom X is the name of the company, I guess. But that's cool. I think this one is really cool too, but that's an alternate. I think these ones are just really cool options. So this is for the Masterverse, the new Masterverse Man-at-Arms that came out, that was trying to be more like the vintage Mark Taylor designs. I like the shape and silhouette of this a little bit better. But the one that came out is really cool. Got a cool, like old school pugilist mustache. So that's Bujubu, and there's actually some more. This turtle, using a Man-at-Arms Origins body. You get the little shell thing and the head. I think that is cool. And I know a lot of folks got those skeletons, and if you want some variety, you got this cool alternate version.
Very cool.
That cool? God, that thing is just, yeah. I love the attitude. I love the sculpt. So on to other customs. This guy, man, Aero Custom Figs. And you know what this is? Let's start with I feel like this is a more focused thing of That's What's Up, because I want to spend a little bit of time looking at a bunch of Aero Custom Fig stuff. Because as you can see from here, if you're of a particular age, some of these customs that he has done might tickle your like nostalgia bone. And then some of these are just straight up paints of existing figures, like these McFarlane's here. So like a lot of talent with this guy. Let's take a look at some of them again for my co-host today and guests. Some DC figs. Is this colorway for this Aquaman a thing? I wasn't familiar with the blue to the purple ombre. Is that a thing in comics?
It reminds me of his, like, he had kind of a stealth water suit, but it wasn't this particularly, but I kind of wonder if that's what they're homaging.
Okay. I think it's a cool paint job. I am one who actually kind of likes, I've always kind of liked Aquaman, even though he is a little bit of a cheese ball sometimes, but yeah, I think this is pretty cool. There's the Momoa, who I actually is like one of the things I really did like about the DCEU and their take on on the whole DC thing. Did you mind Jason Momoa?
I didn't mind Jason Momoa.
Okay.
I thought that was a really cool movie. It's just I saw it 1 week early thanks to Amazon.
Oh, okay.
The funny thing is, another movie came out that week that I probably should have seen instead. A little thing called Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
So my bad. But I didn't mind the Aquaman movie. I thought it was very neat.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind Momoa in the role.
I really liked Momoa in the role. I just thought it was like a fun, different take on the character. So I thought that was cool. And then more DC goodness. This is just a repaint, right? Yeah, of the McFarlane toy, or is there a little bit more?
This has got to be some custom work, because that head is unique.
At the end, no, we won't see. It's beautiful, man. Whew, gorgeous stuff. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say other than damn. So now here's my stuff. I want to see figures of some of the characters that you're about to see, characters and human beings that you're about to see. I would love a solid, like old school Mad Max, dog included. I'll take the car too, because I'm greedy. I think that thing is hot. This thing is built on, I thought was built on, no, it is built on, but he's saying 7-inch, and that does not look, if you're talking Jada, no way. Because,
is he saying Jada?
Well, it's just that body, that pants down, everything looks very much like the Jada, unless it's a Storm Collectibles. No, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's rad. He doesn't actually spell out a whole lot.
Sure.
In terms of the recipe in his posts, but I love a good Bruce Lee, and I love the cut up from Game of Death in the mirrors. I think that's Game of Death. So there's that. Speaking of Jada, yeah, kind of a more realistic take. I'm not too into the like head sculpts. It's a little bit like these two dudes from the local dojo cosplayed as Ken and Ryu, but
I remember these guys from the Double Dragon movie.
That was the kid from freaking Party of Five.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, Scott something, and I am so proud that the internet has me forever knowing that film. Chuck, he announced when he did the Bruce. I think someone in here was like, "When's the next one? Who's coming?" And someone said, "Oh, maybe think Chuck Norris." And I totally thought it was going to be the, young, facial hairless Chuck Norris from his fight with Bruce Lee. I'm confusing myself. It's been so long. Game of Death or Enter the Dragon? I think I want to say Enter the Dragon, but he went with this, right? This Chuck Norris that we saw in his own action films when he was the lead and didn't get beat up by Bruce Lee. These are great, right? It's like NECA. It's kind of something you'd see from NECA.
Absolutely.
I like this Rama Tut. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Majors, but I love seeing a take on what he would look like in Rama Tut. I don't think we saw head to toe Rama Tut at the end of the Ant-Man Quantumania. So I think this is his take on what the character might look like. And of course...
Well, that's not to say it's not a variant.
Love you, Chris. We've got this beautiful Kang. I love that head and just the way it's done. Oh, I had vintage A-Team toys, the little 3.75 ones. This is really cool. A-Team, one of my favorite things as a kid. And of course, he does Joe's. And I just love that Cobra Commander so much. There's some other cool things going on. Interesting, they gave Destro kind of a biker jacket. I don't know where that came from. Cool stuff. And I think that was it. Okay. So speaking of that's what's up. Yeah, see, people love it. Love it. And I'm with you. I love the A-Team too. Yeah, so I'm confused. I don't know what those were, but great stuff. All right. There's this other great thing that I know that I wanted to focus in on is this thing. You down with SPP? Oh, you know me. Shiny plastic people. That's you. You did a thing.
Yes.
Tell us about what's going on. Tell folks who aren't familiar who should click on the subscribe button right now. What should they know about what you got
Shiny
going on?
Plastic People is just started out as an excuse to do something with my toys that I was getting in far too often. So it was literally me, hey, this is what I got in a box today. Let me open it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's gone to a little bit review. And then we started talking about Star Wars because I love Ahsoka. And it turned out other people like Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot of fun. It was the first time I'd ever had co-hosts on my channel. And so, right now I'm a little slow about doing updates, but expect to see some stuff in the near-ish future. Some more toys, maybe some more pop culture.
I didn't realize that was the first time you'd brought other people on. And it was really cool because you brought different people each time and you've got your partner on there too, which is kind of cool.
The thing that I really enjoyed about doing that, more than just like talking Ahsoka, was getting to hear different point of views about the world of Star Wars that we were living in.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that you and we recorded like most of an episode and then had to re-record it. So,
yeah, we did it like
that's the thing.
2.5 times that day.
Oh, I apologize, but I tend to skip past the wrestling.
That's fine. I don't do a lot of wrestling. That was me playing a little bit of video games just to try something different. But I am a mark for Danhausen, so if there's anything Danhausen that comes out, you will probably see it.
Yes, you are. Talk to me about because I know, as we've kind of hinted at, you're really into DC as a property and hence McFarlane, and you kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole of the whole Batmobile and Bat vehicles there for a little bit. Can you want to tell folks about that? Because I feel like you must have one of the most complete places to kind of look at all the different Bat vehicle options that came out. Particularly Batwing.
Especially that time, the Flash movie gave us 1,000 Batwings that nobody was happy with because they weren't the vintage Batwing.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this big debate, like, oh, can you get this cheap one and is it good enough?
Right.
And I thought, like, well, that's interesting, and I have just enough disposable income.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure it out. And why not go like bit by bit and compare them and spend way too much money and be thankful that some stores have really good return policies.
That's right. Yeah, I was really happy to know that happened at the end. Oops, I'm gonna get copyright struck by this content creator.
I doubt that. He's not very good.
But yeah, this was it right here, and you took it through its paces, and you kind of this was actually not it. I was trying to find the big one. That was a fun one to watch because you couldn't even fit it in your booth. You had to do a special setup, right?
The great big McFarlane one is actually right behind my computer, right behind the webcam on my wall.
Okay.
Because it is wall mountable, and that was one I just like, oh, I want it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And now you could get it for a little bit cheaper, but I have no regrets. And I still have the little guy hanging on my ceiling behind me.
And as far as this was it, right? Yeah, this is the one. Is this not the one?
Yeah, that's it. This is the big one.
But this was not the video where it was like in your living room or something?
This is in my family room, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. This is it.
So I had just a big old ring mount way above a card table, and it's just a beast. They put a lot of effort and detail into it, and I know people were upset it didn't have lights, but I don't know about you. I don't turn lights on any of my toys, really.
You'll turn them on, you'll go, oh, that's cool, and then you'll wait for someone to come over that might be interested, and you'll maybe turn it on then, right? But like rarely. So, I hear you on that. Same goes for that. Like, I do kind of like laugh a little bit at that Cobra mother ship thing. I know people really want those kind of things, so I'm not gonna take it away. But like, if it's gonna be a difference of, a sizable chunk of the cost of the thing, I'll take it without lights.
But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to have so much love and attention to a property at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think DC has had really since. Because I think the Flash movie just did so bad that everybody's spooked now.
It's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, it'll come back around just like anything else. I think, well, we'll see what happens next, but we haven't truly seen this next wave of DC movies yet. So I'm rooting for it and got my fingers crossed, because isn't that right? The Flash movie kind of doesn't count as kind of what.
No, there was kind of a confusing, like, oh, maybe it'll launch, maybe it won't count. And then it came out and they're like, haha, I got you. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, because Gunn is saying, nah, the first real movie will be, there's one that's the monsters. What is it?
Yeah, there's the series,
it's
why can't I think of the name?
I didn't know anything about it, but it's like Commandos. Like, I don't know. Do people know in the chat? But it's, again, something I'm not familiar with.
The Creature Commandos.
And
that will be a cartoon on Max if Max wants to keep it. At this point, that's its own thing too.
Well, I'm rooting for it, and you've done a lot of great coverage of that stuff. Honestly, like, I don't see a whole lot of it elsewhere, so I appreciate it, because I like to just look at different things all the time. And I will say, I just your production on this stuff, I love. I suspect you're like me and you like to tinker with like the design of stuff, and as you showed us in the beginning, right, the balloons and all of that stuff. It's fun.
That's just a Mac OS update that they introduced that stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna use it. You give it to me, I'm gonna use it. I spent the last week redesigning the intro to my channel, so whatever the next video is, you'll see a different intro animation on it.
Well, I appreciate the channel. It's you're constantly like upping it, and I love that you cover things like this. Like I said, it's different things that I don't hear enough about. So, and they're not necessarily things that I would buy, and that's what I like. Like, I think I'm familiar enough with the stuff that I'm into. I want to learn about other stuff and, kind of just enjoy it. So definitely go over to Shiny Plastic People. The link is in the description, and it'll be in the updated links when I get to it. I'm going to try and get to it soon. Any new sort of series that you're going to be talking about like you did with the Star Wars?
I don't have anything planned at the moment.
Okay.
My wife is pitching me a Firefly rewatch, so we'll see if that happens.
I loved Firefly. And would you do the film as well?
You have to, right? Partially because there's so little content.
Yeah.
But the movie was great. That's actually was my first introduction to Firefly, was the movie. I did it wrong. But...
So is that where you got the Shiny? No, or is that separate?
No, Shiny is straight up just Shiny Happy People.
Okay, because Shiny. I loved all those little things that were thrown in there. So Joss Whedon's a interesting dude, but he did some great things that I really enjoyed. So that being one of them. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on and finding ways to for us to come on like that time when we got to hang out and talk Star Wars. And I'm glad you kind of continued that and trying. I'm glad that people who love it aren't shying away from talking about it.
Well, absolutely.
That's what we need. Yeah. You even got the hat. Are you looking into merch for people to grab?
Honestly, maybe someday, but the hat was, I saw Jay launch his merchandise and I'm like, a hat would be fun.
Perfect.
And I've got a couple bits ordered for my number one fan for a Christmas present. So
very cool. I love it. So Shiny Plastic People, head over there. You mentioned Jay from Geek Dad Life, and I'm looking at the clock and we're 8 minutes past. If that's a show you want to watch, also over at Hella Dope, you can check that out. And on the Just Shelve It channel, these are all friends and family and just great content creators. So check that out. I hope everyone has a good week. What's the next thing coming up on your channel? Or is that something you're not sure?
I don't know. I have about 4 thumbnails created. We'll see what one gets made.
Okay. So click like, subscribe, do the notifications over on Shiny Plastic People, and then you'll be able to check out what's next. Over here, same thing. Be great if you added the channel, but every Sunday we do this. I try to make it a little shorter than we are running into today, but that's what happens when Chris and I get together. We just blah, 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 blah. And it's usually my fault. So thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who came through. And yeah, pretty much the fun continues because often just folks jump over there. All right. So thank you, everybody. I don't really have anything wonderful or a great way to end this, and that's something I'm working on. Do you have a fun thing? Maybe, hey, why don't you send us out with some cool looking balloons?
Some cool looking balloons. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. Let yourselves just be great. Enjoy this next week. Don't forget to let yourself shine.
Oh boy, look at that. Have a great week, everybody.